Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to show you how to make this cute little peppermint or like maybe saltwater taffy type inspired ornament for your tree, and I'll give definitely some suggestions throughout the video of different things you can do to kind of modify this to how you want it to be for your Christmas tree. So make sure that you watch the whole video for all the tips and tricks I share with you, and I hope you enjoy this video, and make sure you hit that subscribe button to be notified of other videos if you kind of like what you're seeing now, and give this video a thumbs up if you think you might tackle this project after you watch this video. Okay, let's get into the project. To make this project, and pardon there's just some white paint left over from a previous project. I gotta figure out if I can actually get that cleaned up. But to make this project we're going to use the spool loom. Now, as you can see, I have it in two, but normally when you get it, it will usually be stuck together like this, and you can just rotate it whichever side you want. But I found out that I could kind of take it apart, and then that way I can use each separately. And then if I do want to have it together, just to have more of a handle, I could put some tape on the outside if I wanted to. But I'm not going to worry about that for this project. So we're going to keep it separate, and this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pegs, and we're also going to be using a white yarn. This is actually a cotton yarn, so it's a little, like, I call it stiffer than the other, but if you have red heart, that will work fine too. I was looking for a brighter white, and this is what I found in my stash, and then I have kind of like a brighter red as well. So what we're going to be doing is kind of obviously alternating things and making kind of like a tube that we can later roll up to make the ornament style or Christmas decoration. It could be for an ornament or whatever you want to do with it. And we're going to start with the red, so that way when we roll it up we want there to be a little bit at the beginning of red when we do it, when we're rolling it up, when you're looking at it. Then after that we can kind of have a little fun. We're going to need our looming tool, a row counter, scissors, and possibly at the end a crochet hook. So those are off to the side, and I'm going to put my row counter on this side since I'm right-handed. It makes it easier to click, and I have it set at 0, so that all I have to do is every time I do a row I just push this down and it counts it. This is a little different than some of the row counters you see for knitting. This is actually more like a sports kind of tally row counter, which I've used in a lot of my videos. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of like the drawstring cast on. We're going to drop the yarn down in the middle, so this will be our tail that we can kind of pull on as we do stuff. Excuse me. And we're just going to weave it back and forth, which looks kind of crazy with only 5 pegs, but it does work. So when you get back to the beginning again, keep an eye on your tail, not losing it as you go around. And then as you go around again, you're going to knit off wherever there's 2 strands. Now this kind of spool doesn't fully matter where the start is, because again we're just going to be doing stripes. And again I'm going to work my way around. There's only 1 strand, working it around. Okay, that over, and work it around. This one doesn't have 2, and this one has 2. Okay, so now we're kind of back to the beginning, and for right now we're just going to do like a flat knit. So we're going to lay it on front, almost like doing a unit, excuse me, so that it'd be a little tighter. So unit is kind of where you're wrapping it, like the peg like that, and then you're knitting it over, and then pull your string at the bottom. So again, we're going to kind of take it to the peg, and U-knit means that I'm taking it around, but not all the way around like you do E-wrap. And you're going to knit over. You're going to do it again where it looks kind of like a U, and knit over. Doing is I'm working my way around. Oops, sorry, I gotta do it this way. The U-knit, I almost did a flat knit, but this is a U-knit again. Flat knit would be what I just almost did, where I laid it flat across and knit over, but the U-knit gives a little bit of slack. And this is all I'm going to do for a few more rows, is do my U-knit. As you get ready, as we get more in there, we'll be able to kind of close this off. As you can see, it wants to close off, but we don't have enough rows yet to kind of do that. Okay, and let's go one more. Again, I'm just doing the unit. So this is a project that you can kind of just do one day when you're kind of looking for a simple project. Alright, so we got that, and if we pull, move this out of our way, if we pull this, we're seeing that it's kind of closing off. You can't really see in that side, but you can see it's kind of closing off up here, which is fine. That's what we kind of want it to do. And what this will end up helping us do later is, as we change colors periodically, we can tuck the strands that we're tying together inside this and kind of hide them in our tube beforehand. So I'm just going to do a couple more, and then I'm going to switch over to the white for a little bit. Okay, last one I want to do this way, and then I'm going to change the color to white. Alright, so we got our scissors. I'm going to cut our tail. Grab our new color. And I'm just going to tie it to the old color. Close as I can. Excuse me. And now when I'm working, I can tuck this on this side as I go. When the time comes, after I do a couple rows to get it down more, I can take these strands from my project and tuck them in. And if I have this tied at least twice, I'm going to do it twice actually. That's usually what I like to do. And this yarn does fray a little bit, so just be careful if you're using cotton yarn. Okay. And then I can go ahead, after cutting them, and just trim the tail a little bit to make it easier for it to tuck on the inside as I'm working now, and that way you won't see it as much. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before with our unit. And again, working that as many times around as you want to, because we're kind of creating these random stripes so that when it rolls around, it'll have like these random stripes that'll help us when we're winding it up. And again, as you go, you can kind of tuck the tail in. And that's all I'm doing is the unit around. So I'm going to work this off camera for a little bit. I'll try to keep track of how many times I do this one now that I'm back to the beginning. So like I said, the first one, just do a little bit of red, and again, every so often you're going to pull on the string and eventually it will work itself out. I'll go off camera and work the white, and okay, so off camera I did 10 rows of the white, and what I did, and this is a tip you guys can have, like I said, the red, I didn't care how much we did. You can vary the beginning, you can do less rows, more rows. I think I ended up doing about 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 rows or so of the red, and then I did 10 rows of the white. But what we're going to do now is we're just going to rotate the two different colors out every so often. So I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to work these two colors back and forth, and I will do a little, there will be a slide right after this that will tell you what I did for each section, how many times I did for each one, and then when you get all those done, we'll be coming back here and it'll be time to take it off the loom and show how it looks as we wind it up. Once you finish doing all the rows in the previous slide, you should come back and it should look roughly like this. Again, you can alter the row, change up the row count however you want. This is just kind of what I did. And I got red on here as the last color. It hasn't quite peeked through the bottom, but again, it's not too bad. I don't have my tape measure near me, but it's not too bad a length that you'll end up with when it's all done. So now we just need to bind this off, and again, I kept my stitch marker on here just so that we know what the starting peg was. And all I do with these, I don't really get too technical. I'm basically just going to move pegs over to another peg, and then I'll knit that over. You don't need as fancy as a bind off on this one. And then I'm going to knit this one over to here, that over, go ahead over here and move this one to the starting peg, knit it over, take the last loop over here, move it over to the starting peg, and I can move this and knit it over to lock that in place. Then take and cut a tail, and if you want to make it easier on yourself, just put the tail underneath and then go through if you want to and just grab it, and then take it off the loom, tighten it a little bit, give it a little knot if you want. So now we have our first part where we have our tube. Now the fun part is winding this up. So like you can choose which side you want to wind it up, and as you see, as we wind it, whichever side we do, like if we started from the side that we just cast it off, that's how our peppermint is going to look. If we cast off from the thing that was our start, which was this one, and if we wind up from this side, we'll get rid of these tails in a minute here. So again, you're going to wind it up however tight you want. It didn't get as tight as I wanted to, but as tight as you want, and that's going to be your peppermint. So it's really about you figuring out which way you like best. I'm going to redo this way for a minute. And I'm just winding it up. And again, this is where we had cast it off, and this is our cast on little nubbin. So this is what it could look like. Okay, and again, because again this end is a little smaller than what I did for this end if you compare the two ends. So that's going to help you decide what do you want your end to look like. So if we take the other side one more time and we roll it up, that's how that would look. So I'm just going to roll it up however way I see fit in a minute, and what I'm just going to do is I'm going to use some craft glue to kind of hold it in place so that it keeps our shape. I did it with a little sample earlier and it just needs more time to dry, but it will, this craft glue that I use a lot will work on the fabric. You just need to make sure you A, use enough of it, and B, you give it enough time to set properly before you go messing around with it. It'll definitely make your hands sticky, but you're just going to glue all this around, and I'll show you in a second how we're going to do that. That's why it's important to figure out which way you want it to go a little bit so that you know when you're gluing it. And after it glues and it dries, I can show you kind of something that we can do with it after it's glued. And then of course you want to make sure when you're careful putting the glue that you leave yourself a spot. We have these two tails that we need to do something with before we roll it up. So basically we're going to trim them so that when we glue, we can kind of take the glue and we can put some glue on this too, like fold it down into the part that we're going to roll so that we don't see it on hopefully either side. So that's what we're going to do with the ends that we trim. And again, this was the end that we took off. I just want to do one more little knot. I think this was our starting one, so I just want to do a little knot in there. And again, I would do the same thing. I would just trim this tail a little bit, and when I'm gluing it, I will be mindful of kind of laying it on top, gluing it down as I roll it so that it hides into the project for the little string. And this is a little tricky somewhat to do, so it is one of those things that like I will start gluing it on camera, but then I'll have to go off camera just so I can make sure I'm holding it in place. You may have to do a section, kind of hold it in place for a little bit to give that glue a few seconds or so to dry a little bit, and then go ahead and glue another section and pad that around how you want. Give that like a few minutes to kind of glue to adhere to the yarn, and then again put another strip of glue and work your way around that way as well. Because if you try doing it all at once, it's going to be kind of wonky, where if you work more like steady on it, you can, like I said, add a little glue, roll it, let it set that way, hold it there for a little bit, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, add some more glue, roll it around. Just take your time, don't rush it, because you want, again, to have time. I'm going to show you my sample that I did up just to practice with. So this was my sample after I glued it. It does not look pretty. This was just playing around because I wanted something up so I could see. I didn't get the lines the way I wanted exactly, but I glued it together with the craft glue. You see it hasn't quite had enough time to set, but as you can see, it's not coming apart. As longer it sets, on some areas like this, I didn't put enough glue. So again, you want to be mindful using enough glue, and the glue dries clear. As you can tell, you can't really see the glue. So what you're going to want to do with the new piece is just actually make sure you have a lot of extra glue. This was an I-cord. It's thinner than what we did here. I purposely, with this sample, decided I wanted to go thicker so I could have more surface area for putting glue on. And again, just work your way around. So I'm going to go off camera and do that, like with my glue. Like I said, my glue here, I'm going to start a section, glue, wind it up, hold it there for a little bit, glue another section, wind it up, hold there for a little bit. So go ahead and do that, and I'll come back when it's all glued and set to show you a couple of things that you could do with it once it's done. Okay, once the glue is set, and it's still a little sticky in places, this is the front of it, and it kind of looks like, you know, peppermint or like a saltwater taffy when I showed it to my friend. And again, you can change up the rows we did before if you want it to lay differently, or you want the colors to be in different spots. You could do short ones, you could maybe do 5 each or something and do it in a round. That could look cute too. So what I like is it's a project you can kind of play around with and do different ones so they all don't have to look the same. And when you're done, if you're worried that the glue is not going to stick, like here the end was fighting me, I had to kind of hold it in place for a while. It's still a little tacky. So what I was thinking you could also do too if you're worried is using like a crochet hook and some of the yarn. You could also kind of tie it together. Like down here, this part seems to have hold, but if I didn't know if it would, I would go into the end. Well, this is the front, so I would go to the back so it wouldn't be seen. And what I would do, if I was worried, is I would try to come into a loop that isn't fully glued, and I would bring through some of the yarn. See, like I said, the glue is not really dry, so for that part. So I would need to let it dry more, but since I know it might fight me, I can take my crochet hook and I can try to sew it. I'm going to let it set a little more. As you can see, it wasn't quite set. I thought it was dry enough, but it's not. But if you want to, if you don't want to do the glue technique, that's what I was going to say, you could even use a crochet hook and start in the middle and kind of sew it using the edges of all of it. It's probably easier to show on this side. You could sew it by using the loops beforehand, and you could sew it so that it would be closed. Again, you're going to want to use probably yarn versus thread, maybe even crochet thread or crochet yarn or whatever that's really thin might work too. But again, if you don't have the glue, this one I just moved it too soon. But as you can see on the inside, that it is firm there. It's just the outer one here was fighting me, which if I need to, I could even take a red ribbon if I wanted and kind of glue a red ribbon around the whole outside. Glue a red ribbon around the whole outside if I wanted to lock it in place. But this will dry clear once it's fully dry. I just didn't realize that it wasn't in that spot. But again, one side would be your backside. You could even also get a circle piece of like construction paper or a hard cardboard that's even red or white or whatever, and glue this onto the piece of cardboard to give it more sturdiness as well. So it's just kind of thinking outside the box to hopefully inspire you guys to make something a little different. Once it was officially dry, you could take a crochet hook, or not a crochet hook, sorry, a Christmas hook, and probably work it through, and you know, through one of the loops up at the top. I would go opposite of where the last place is that you glued. I would go up here and I would do either maybe working the yarn through to be the loop, which I can do now, or you could get like I said, a Christmas hook. So if I wanted to keep that the way it is, I could come up here, wherever I kind of want to be considered the beginning, which I think right here would probably be good, and use a small crochet hook and bring the yarn through, and then you could tie it off. I have too much yarn here. Let me cut some of this yarn. We don't need this much. Okay, so you can cut it, and then you could sew either by string or a Christmas hook. Come here. Cotton yarn likes to fight me. So you could do, like I said, string. Let me zoom out here, sorry. You could do string to have this hang as a Christmas ornament, which I think would be cute. Or you can use, like I said, the metal hooks that come for Christmas decorations. That would be cute as well. Again, I just need to let this more fully dry. Again, if it doesn't dry, what you could do is you could, before you put glue on, is sew this up with some yarn and your crochet hook first, and then kind of dabble some glue around it to help as well. I probably should have did that, but I hope this gives you an idea. Like I said, it should dry. I just moved it too quickly because like I said, it's white now, but it will dry clear. It's supposed to, at least anyway, dry clear depending how much you use. But again, I thought this would be a cute little idea for a Christmas tree, or if you wanted to go huge and make this like really big, then that could be really fun for like a wall decoration for Christmas time. You could do this one really big, and you could take like a small canvas or something and paint the canvas and then glue a bunch of these on. That could be cute as well. You could try to make them smaller if you wanted by maybe doing I-cord version of the same like process if you wanted. But with this and using this, I'm able to tuck in those stragglers easier than what I would do if I was doing an I-cord. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do more like a tube feeling, because as you can see, you can really not really see any of the straggles from when I changed color. But I hope you like this video. I hope it inspires you to do something really cool. And if you make something like this, make sure you check my links down below. I would love for you to go to my Facebook page and post pictures of your finished products. I would love to see what colors you do. You don't have to stick with red and white. You could do red and green, red and, white and green, black and white if you're somebody that does non-traditional Christmas trees or something, purple and white, purple and red, whatever. I think this would be really fun to kind of mix up and give a cool little project. It might even be a good project to do with family and friends, have everybody kind of make their own, and then you can kind of showcase everybody's on a tree or something. So again, I hope this helps, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified of future videos, and give this video a thumbs up if you're planning on trying to make a craft like this. And like I said, share your finished results on my Facebook page. All links are down below. And have a great day, everyone.